Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to my end of May garden tour. Just want to give you a tour of my garden and how it looks right now. A lot of the stuff is in bloom, and of course some of them it still needs to heat up a little bit more before it will bloom. This is the front part of my house. As you can see, this is the flower bed left and right of the entrance. Just want to give you a little tour. So I'll start out here. This is lavender. I wanted to create a lavender hedge all along the front border of the house. It looks like I planted some of them a little bit too far back so they don't trail over the sidewalk like I want. Like over there you can see them where they trail. But over here it doesn't trail over. So it looks like in the fall when I prune it back, I'm going to transplant them and move them a little bit more forward so they would trail over the border. So this is lavender. I don't remember what variety it is, but I really love it because it's tall and slender and it flows with the breeze, and it's, you know, like it trail over, like over here. See how it trails over the border? And I think that's so pretty. And every time you walk by it, if you brush against it, the smell of lavender is really intoxicating. So that's pretty amazing. I really love that. And then at the front I had a whole bunch of allium. These are alliums. I don't remember the variety either. I'm kind of new at gardening, so when I first purchased the plants and the bulbs, I didn't keep any of the tags, so now I'm just kind of going off the name, the generic name, but I don't know the specific variety. If you do, please feel free to comment. I had planted a whole bunch of them along the edge over here to grow, but it looks like most of them died off. I think because the water, when it rains heavily, it kind of gets seeped all the way down here, and then it kind of stays here. So I think a lot of the bulbs kind of rotted. Over here I have some Veronica. You can see right there, that's a Veronica. But this is mainly going to be my rose garden. The front part is going to be the rose garden. But right now I'm just trying to fill it up to get it full, and then once it gets big I'm going to transplant things and still move things around. So gardening is always a work in progress. One year you find you may like something and it performs, the next year it may or may not. So you move what you don't like and you move what you like to where you want it to be. This over here is, oh sorry, so this is my cheat sheet, since I can't remember half of the name and then I get brain freeze when I'm trying to narrate what I'm doing, and then I can't remember the plant's name even though it's like right at the tip of my tongue. So I have to write it down so I can remember to tell you guys what they are. This is a daisy. I think it's a Chasta daisy, but I'm not sure. Again, when you get one plant, you don't really know the variety. There is so many different variety of one plant that it's hard to keep track of. This is here is Miranda Lambert that I propagated, and then I trained two standard Miranda Lamberts over here, so that it would be in tree form, and it's doing pretty good. This one is a little bit top heavy, so it leans a lot and it catches a lot of the breeze, so it's not as straight as this one over here. And you can see the suckers that are, well, they're suckers, but they're actually just new growth, because this one and this one I actually propagated. So the root ball is the actual plant itself. So I need to come in and of course remove all of those so that it can keep feeding the standard tree. So I was trying to keep it upright like this, and with the wind, when it comes, it just blows it over. So I have that there, and I'm hoping within the next year or two that that would be strong enough that it can hold its own, and then I can remove the stake. This is a different variety of rose. It's so beautiful because it's two-tone. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry with the screen movement. But you can see the difference of the two-tone. Like the underneath is kind of whitish yellow, and then the red is on the inside petal. It's really funny because this plant and this one's the same one, but if you look from this one, it's a really rich red, and that one is more of like a pink color. Like if I put it right next to it, you guys can kind of tell the difference between the color. Even though they're the same plant, two different plants, same species, but the color variation is definitely really different. Back behind it, I have a Limelight Hydrangea. And then over here is a Veronica. Let me see. This is another Veronica. So Veronica can be propagated really easily, and most of my plants I usually buy one or two and then I propagate it. So this is the mother plant of all of the Veronicas that you see around, which is why they're a lot smaller. Here's another Veronica, and this one over here. See, they're a lot smaller than the mother plant. So I basically just take it, chop it up, or root it, and then I make more plants. So I'm not spending so much money, because all of us, even though we wish we have an unlimited gardening budget, most of us don't. I don't, at least. So I find the propagation, I can get more plants. The only thing I don't really like about them, as you can see, I don't know why, but it creates a little hole right there. The plants would grow kind of like this, and it would be nice and pretty, but then for some reason it just tends to spread out. It doesn't really flop, because you can see this is pretty upright, but for some reason it just leaves a little hole in the center. And I mean, there's more plants that are coming out, as you can see, a new growth. So I'm guessing that I might have to come in, trim all this back, but right now it has pollinators everywhere, so I'm going to leave it for a little bit longer, and then I'll probably cut it back and then let that new fresh growth come up. This is a sedum. Sedum is really easy to propagate as well. You can either do it in water or just stick it in soil, and then they propagate and multiply. So this one's not even the mother plant, but you can see how big it is. It's almost as big as my 18-inch diameter pot right there. That is another Miranda Lambert. This is the standard one that is doing really well. I love the Miranda Lambert rose. I mean, it's petal, like you can't, it's rose petals, you can't even count how many petals are on them, and they're so beautiful. They do have a little bit of a scent to it, but not like an overwhelming scent to it. Over here I planted coneflower, just to, you know, be the filler at the bottom so it doesn't look so bare. So this is the first part, the first flower bed in the front, and then in my flower pot I have geranium. They're a little bit spent, but you can see new ones coming in, and usually what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll probably deadhead, like this one's pretty spent, so I'll come in and I'll just, you know, rip that off, and I'm just going to stick that in there for now. But if you deadhead them, you know, it'll more likely send more energy to producing fresh flower than a flower seed. Look at that bumblebee right there flying. And then inside of it, I think this is a flock that I planted, and then this is a daisy. I think it's the Stargazer Lily, which I really, really love. They're really fragrant and very big and very beautiful. And then this over here is my front entrance. Oh, it looks like the flower that I was showing you drop its petals over there. Over here is the second part of the walkway. This is sedum. So we have water gutter area that drains, and you can see the soil and everything starts to overflow when we have heavy rain. So I planted sedum here, and I'm hoping eventually it will go all the way over there to help with the spillovers of the water, and it's actually doing a really good job of keeping everything in its place. The only bad thing is it might be choking out other plants, but it's really easily moved, so I might just kind of like, you know, push it to the side and create a little hole where my plants are. This is another Miranda Lambert. This is the main stalk for the Miranda Lambert, and then I take the cutting from here and then propagate the rest of my Miranda Lamberts that you see. Here's another beautiful little flower that's coming out. But I've got a whole new growth everywhere. This one is spent, and then you can see a bud next to it. But in earlier spring, like I would say April, this rose bush is really prolific. I mean, it had leaves and it had flowers, it had buds, but this is basically its second flush coming out, so it's not as much as the first one. And then over here, I want to show you really quickly. See the lavender that trails over what I was talking about? It's not just beautiful if you look at it. And then every time you walk by it, brush up against it, it creates this beautiful, sweet aroma of lavender. I mean, it's so beautiful. So usually I can get 2 flush out of them. 3 because I garden in zone 8A, Georgia, so we don't get frost until almost end of November. So sometimes I might be able to get a 3rd flush, but definitely 2 for sure. So after this is done, I'll come in and shear it, and then it'll produce new growth. You can see where some of them had died, like right along here. I had a couple that died just because I think it was, it had root rot. So the water, it floods, comes over here, trickles here, and it kind of stays pooled right here. And some of them rotted out. So I propagated some more, and these are just new cuttings that are still trying to come in. So hopefully it would look as full as, you know, along this hedge right here. You guys see all the pollinators? They definitely love the lavender. And then the next hedge that I have over here is Sedum. I think this is Autumn Joy, but again, I apologize. I don't have the name tag of everything, so I know it's Sedum. I just don't know the variety. And they are, look at how big they are. I didn't even know they get this big. So I planted them in front of my roses thinking, you know, they create a little bit. I would have thought they would stay about this size, but you can see this size is like double if not triple that size. I think this is probably my mother plant. And then from then I created all of these little ones. And then of course those are all my roses. Second flush coming out. This one, I'm not sure what is going on with it, but at the tip of them all, they have like these little black spots. And I wish I could say that was due to frost damage, but we haven't had frost for over like 2 months. They just come out looking like that. And I'm unsure if some kind of bug got to them and ate the tip of it. But here, you can see with this one over here. See, like right along here? It doesn't look very healthy. But there was a couple of blooms that were really beautiful. But somehow some of these are not looking very well. There's one on the back side over here. And on the back side over here, I have Yarrow. Yarrow is just a filler that I put in. Oh, this is a hydrangea. I believe this one is a bobo hydrangea. It's supposed to be a little bit more short and compact. So it might get a little bit taller than this, but this should be the size. And then behind this rose, I believe that is another Limelight Hydrangea, and then a Yarrow, and then another Limelight Hydrangea, and another Limelight Hydrangea. So basically I wanted the back border to be Limelight Hydrangea, gives you that green, the flesh, and then of course, you know, once it starts to flower, it'll have the cone-shaped looking flower in the background, which starts out white and then it turns color. So I wanted that to fill up to kind of hide the house, and then have the roses be the center of attention, and then things in the front. Here's some more Veronica I propagated. And then this over here, I think I'm going to remove this because it just seems a little bit too big, and I don't know. I'm not sure if I like this right here. What do you guys think? Does it seem like it fits right here? So those are Verbena, and they're tall. So that might not be the best place for them. But I don't know. Those are actually cuttings that I rooted and I put it down there. A lot of the cuttings that I generate when it gets rooting, I put it here because these flower beds have been amended with good soil. Instead of the Georgia red clay, it has the topsoil that's really good in here. So I wanted it to have a good chance to root, get a better root system before I plant it out in an area where it has the red clay. Back behind over here is Dahlia. I planted that a while ago, and I thought I had gotten all those little tubers that they come in, but sometimes you don't get all the tubers like you think you do, and then up you have another plant or two. So that's, if you divide your tubers, you get more plants. But I actually had transplanted them because they were really floppy. They got super ginormous and floppy, and I didn't want it there, so I transplanted them. But as you can see, I must have left a couple of tubers there. Over here, a little bit more, this is more of a shadier area, so this is where you can see a couple of my propagation area. This is a hydrangea that I'm training into a standard. A standard is basically saying I'm training it into a tree. Over here, this flower is the flowering maple. Another name for it is a Butylon. Sorry, it's kind of a tongue twister. It's a Butylon, and it's basically like it's called a Chinese lantern because you can see the flower. This one is actually more upright, but a lot of them kind of droops over like a Chinese lantern, which is why it's called a Chinese lantern flower over here. But aren't they really pretty? They're dainty. And then on the inside, they have all the pollen in there. And then the leaf, of course, is maple looking leaf. So they're called flowering maple. And they are very easily to propagate as well. And I have a couple of them that I'm trying to propagate. Here's one over here. That's one. And then here's another one over here that I propagated. And then another one over here. And then these are just basically cuttings that I stick into the ground. I think this one is a Miranda Lambert. So it's a cutting that I take into the ground, put it into the ground, let it root, and then I'll transplant it when it gets a little bit bigger. This is an oak leaf hydrangea. It's red slippers oak leaf. And it's supposed to be a little bit more compact than your typical regular oak leaf hydrangea where it can get up to like 10 feet tall. This one's supposed to stay more compact, so I planted it here. But once it starts to grow, of course, I can't have anything around this area because it's gonna basically create a shadow bed over here, and that won't work. This is Yarrow, and you guys, this is so beautiful. I mean, look at them. Aren't they beautiful? And you can bring them inside, cut them, bring them inside, and they last for quite a while. And they are good filler for when you want to do a cut flower vase arrangement. They are really good fillers. The only thing, for some reason, and I don't know if the area that I'm planting them in, but they tend to flop. Do you guys see that? Like half of it is upright, the other half flop. And then again, this one, I made another video of how easily you can propagate yarrow. But they're really pretty. I mean, I really enjoy them. So they start out, you know, little bud forms like this. And then eventually they start to flower out, and then they get to be like this. And they'll get this rich pink color. And then once they get to be full bloom, it turns into kind of a lavender mauve color. And then I'm guessing the flower fades away. See, that's why it's kind of a lighter color. This here is a Japanese Magnolia. I bought this one for $5 at a nursery. I can't remember what the nursery's name is, but if I do, I will post it in here. It's a Jane Magnolia. It was only $5. I got this one for $5 as well. I think this one is a saucer magnolia. Yeah, saucer magnolia. So they're doing very well. I'm looking forward to seeing how they will look once they flower. So I'm hoping they will flower next year, and I will be able to show you guys that. So this here is about it for my front flower bed. I do have phlox over here. Sorry, I forgot to show you that. So there's some phlox. And then, of course, this over here is daisy. These are ground cover sedums. I'm not sure if I said that. So there's ground cover sedums over here, which, of course, I have another gutter right there, so that's why I planted them over there. So, you know, the rainwater doesn't wash it away. You can see when it rains really bad, all the mulch and everything washes away, so I'm trying to prevent that and the erosion. So the sedum, of course, is way different. They're more upright in structure and not ground cover, whereas this one is just ground cover. They don't flower. Those ones will flower. This one won't flower. It's just the sedum texture. And they're really fun. If you have little kids, grow them because they're really fun. The texture itself is kind of like a spongy, I'm not even sure how to describe it, but I go out there and I'll touch it and I'll feel them. It's kind of like a fuzzy, spongy feel. So it's kind of cool. Let's see, I'm going to take you to the front of my flower bed. Here is a tree that I have, and I propagated more hydrangeas, so I planted them around it just to create a little bit more flower and a nice barrier, and not just having to see the bare rooted area around here. Over here, this is the front part of my house by the mailbox. Excuse me. And we did the edging around here. As you can see, it didn't have these bricks at all, and I wanted to put it in. That was a lot of hard work, digging and then trying to fit them in there. This is red Verbena. They grow really well. And then this here is Stargazer Lily. And then I have mums here that you can see it's getting new buds, and then it'll flower. I can't remember what color they are. That's one thing about gardening, you get a whole bunch of surprises because you forget what your flower looks like or the color. So it's like, oh, I didn't know I planted that there. This is, of course, daisy. You can see, I think it's Chasta daisy. You can see the little bud. You see it? Just a couple of buds that I can see, but there's a whole bunch of growth going around this. This here is a Hearty Hibiscus. Bee Balm. Bee Balm has a whole bunch of buds. And they're slowly, I think, gonna burst open. So that'll be exciting. Oh, here's one. Right there. You guys see it? Sorry, I have this camera on the stand, so sometimes it doesn't want to work. So these are Bee Balm. And then Salvia. Out of all the salvias that I have, I think this is my favorite. I can't remember the variety. But it's more upright. I might try to transplant this next to where all the lavender is, because it's like two different kind of purple variety, and I think that'll be pretty. This is another Bee Balm. These are Amaryllis Bulbs over here that hasn't flowered yet, so I'm guessing that they're a spring summer flowering amaryllis and not Christmas, because I didn't get any bulbs. I didn't get any of them that bloom and flower during Christmas time, so I'm guessing that they're the spring one. And then I have more roses over here. And then this is a hydrangea I'm training to be a standard. And then this one's another hydrangea that I propagated. A couple more roses. So they're coming along. I actually had a flush of bloom, and I've just cut them back so you can see more buds are coming out over here on all of them. And they seem to be doing well. In the zone that I garden, because it's so humid, it's 8A Georgia, we get a lot of black spots here, and they're really bad. But I love my roses too much to give them up. A lot of people said they don't even bother with roses because of the black spots on the leaves. And I know they look horrible and they're not very healthy. I've treated them, but they still come back. It's not 100%. So I deal with them and I try to help them, and some of them succeed, some of them don't. And this is on the other side of our driveway. I planted all these hydrangeas over here. These are a big leaf hydrangea. Let's see. So most of them, I believe, will be blue because we have more acid in our soil. This one, I think I amended a little bit. So that's why it's pink, and I really wanted pink and not just all blue. But it looks like a couple of them, like over there, as you can see, it's two-tone. I'll get a closer picture of it. But so this is Veronica. I propagated them and then plant them along here. And then these are daisies, of course, more propagated. So you can always see the ones that I propagated versus the ones that is the mother plant. The mother plant is the huge big ones, and the ones I propagated are the little single, double shooters. They're pretty small compared to the mother. But look at how pretty they are. I mean, aren't they gorgeous? Like, just the beginning, they're like almost two-tone in itself with the white and blue. Isn't that beautiful? And then once they get to be fully developed, they turn into this blue color. Isn't that a beautiful blue? And they're actually doing really well. Of course, I fed them and I'm trying to water them, but eventually the humidity will come and they will all have like black spots as well. You can see it's starting over here. And you know, I come out and I try to deadhead all the leaves, but I'm not always successful. This is another kind of salvia. This one gives little calyx, is that what you call them? They come down and then they have these little flower. I think I have some more that I can show you. But they're really pretty, but I don't know. I just don't like them as upright as the other salvia that I just showed a minute ago. This is camellia that I propagated. Camellia takes forever to grow. I think this one's almost 2 years now, and that's how big it got. I mean, definitely better than what it was. It only had a couple leaves. Now it has at least 10 leaves, so it's growing. This is a Chinese snowball viburnum. I'm training it into a tree. It's more of a bush form, but I'm training it. This here is, what is it? Angel Trumpet. I'm really excited to see what this one looks like. We had friends who had them, and we asked to get cutting, and they gave us a whole bunch of cutting, and this is one of them that has grown. I also have a couple of videos of how I propagated them that I posted, so if you're interested in that, please feel free to look. And if you're in the area, let me know in the fall time when I trim them back. You know, I don't know if I want more of them, but if you want some, let me know, and I'll save some of the cutting and you can have some. Over here is more lilies. I'm not sure the variety of this one is, but this variety is like, it grows to be like 5 feet tall. Look at that. These are the little flowers that are starting to bud, but they get super tall. Like right now they're probably over 3 feet tall. This is my little Japanese maple. I'm thinking I might move them because it's not getting enough sun. It gets afternoon sun, but I don't think it gets enough sun to make it vibrant, and I really want it to be vibrant, so I might transplant this. But I've always wanted a Japanese maple, and my property that I have, nobody had one on it, so I'm hoping to propagate some. I have a whole bunch of seedling, which I will show you guys, and then once they get big enough, I'm going to put them in the landscape. This is another bee balm, and this one looks like it's starting to open up even more, so you guys can actually see them. But aren't they pretty? They're like fluffy little what do you call them? The pom-poms. But definitely looks like it's got more buds opening up than the other ones. And butterfly bush. This is, I think, Miss Molly. It's more compact than the other ones that I have, which gets to be like 2-story. They're like over 6 feet tall. So I like this more compact variety. And they're really prolific and they smell so heavenly. And this is my driveway, and what I would like to do, I propagated a whole bunch, at least I'm trying to root a whole bunch of lavender, and I would like to create a lavender hedge that goes all the way back there as well. So you can see I planted some cuttings. See these little tiny ones right here? These are cuttings that I've rooted, of course. So I have a whole bunch along here. I'm hoping it'll grow and create the same kind of hedge that I have at the front entrance. So here I put a whole bunch of butterfly bush along here. Basically, this is just my wildflower bed. I'm just gonna put a whole bunch of flowers in here and just let it grow so I can walk in my flower garden. More sedums over here. These are the more upright one, not the ground cover. I have some, that one is another Snowball Viburnum. Another Angel Trumpet up there. Angel Trumpet. This one, the small one, is the Butylon flowering maple. I cannot remember what this plant is, but look at it. It's purple leaf. It doesn't really flower, but the interest is in their leaves. I can't remember what they are. A lot of people use them as houseplants because they tend to be better in the shade, which is why they are where they are right now. My neighbor has this huge, big, massive tree right here that gives all of this area the shade, which is why I have my hydrangeas and a couple other plants over here. Looks like everything else is doing pretty good though, because the butterfly bush actually needs full sunlight. So it's doing well, but you can see some of them are not as well as others that are in the sun, which I'll show you in a little bit. That one's a cutting, so it's a little bit smaller. This one's a cutting, but it seems to be doing well, so I'm going to keep it there and see how well it does. Walk along here a little bit. There's some more salvia. This one is another yarrow, but you can see this one is red. Isn't that beautiful? You look at it. Let me see. Here's another salvia, a different variety. See how this calyx is way more different than the other one. And this one looks like it's going to be like a fuchsia color. Look at this weird bug right there. Can you guys see it? Oh, there it goes. This is an oak leaf hydrangea. It gets massive. Like this flower gets over like 15 inches. It's so crazy. I don't know how it supports that flower, but it's beautiful. And it's supposed to get monstrous. So I don't really have anything planted around it, as you can see. But I don't think this is the correct area for it, so I might have to move it. I think it's going to get too big for this area where I have it. Over here I have Hearty Hibiscus. 2 of them. But they require a lot more sunlight, so I'm not sure if they are going to be okay over there. More yarrow here. Butterfly bush. Lamb's ear. Look at this. I don't think I've ever seen the lamb's ear bloom. You see they send up this little shoot that has blooms. This is the first year I've ever seen a bloom on my lamb's ear. I mean, it's really dainty and pretty. So lamb's ear, as you all know, the texture itself is so soft and smooth. It's like one of those fuzzy blankets. Some yarrow that I transplanted because it flopped so bad in the other area, and it definitely didn't like me, so I had to cut all of the foliage back, and you could see new shoots are coming up right there. So I'm happy that it likes its transplant. Over here, you can see it looks a little bit sad, but it's sending up new shoots, so I'm not too worried about it. This is Rose of Sharon, another Viburnum. Lots and lots of butterfly bush. Because they're so easy to propagate, I'm trying to fill up my flower bed. So I'm trying to get plants that is easily propagatable. And then that way I can fill up my flower bed, and then I'll see what I like, what I don't like, and then I move, or, you know, I do what I need to do with it. Coneflower over here. This one is starting to get its flower and bloom. I believe right there, that is, oh, what do you call it? Like here, I totally had a brain fart. I'm going to come back to that because it'll come back to me. More lilies here. And then this is Calla Lily. This is my first flower of my Calla Lily. Calla Lily. Isn't that beautiful? It's like a little cup with a stamina inside. Isn't that beautiful? I have, I think, 2 other variety. This one, which hasn't flower, and that one. This one and this one over here looks about the same, because it looks like the leaf structure and everything is the same. But I can't remember. And a lot of times, these guys are perennial, so they'll come back every year. And in the fall time, you know, when they start dying off, you forget what you plant, and then you're like, look, there's a hole. And so you plant things there and then not realize it, that there was a plant already there. And then in the springtime, you're surprised when you get like 3 flowers in one hole. So that's what I experienced this year. Another hydrangea up here. Where the fence line is basically where my neighbor and my boundary line is. So where the mulch area is my property. And then where the grass area is their property. I planted a couple roses over here, cutting, so they're kind of puny, but with roses, you gotta have a lot of patience, watching and waiting for them to grow. More coneflower. So coneflower here, here, and here. They're really easily propagatable. When the flower dries, I just take the seed, sprinkle the seed over it, and then in the springtime I get more flower. They're not too hard to do it by seed, but everything else I usually do by cutting. I can't remember what kind of plant these are, so if you do, please help me out. Verbena, Hearty Hibiscus, and it looks like Salvia. Not coneflowers over there. These are daisies. Salvia. So this is a different salvia, and they are monstrous. They're like 18 inches, if not taller. And then when the flower gets to be in full bloom, it's even taller than that. So I have some really short salvia and some really tall salvia. I think this one, though, is a Veronica, a different kind. So the other one I have in the front is kind of a pinkish lavenderish. This one's more blue. This video is getting to be super long, you guys. I'm sorry. So much to show you in so little time. This is Crepe Myrtle, which I propagated and grew and pruned. So I'm going to grow it into a standard tree. More Verbena over here, which I think they do better over here than in the front flower bed. More salvia here. Here's another lavender, and I'll show you a better one that I have in the other garden, but this one is from cutting. This lavender is different. It's more of an upright flowering structure. It's not the long calyx flower that you see that I am going to use for the hedge. This is oh my gosh, totally forgot the name. I'll come back to that one. Kufia. They attract hummingbirds. That's what they are, and that's why I like them. They are very easily to propagate as well. Let me see, what else? Can't remember what those are over there. That's another Crepe Myrtle. More Salvia. More Salvia, but a different kind. Yarrow. More Coneflower that I transplanted. More roses. More roses. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, bee just almost flew into me. This here is a Japanese Magnolia. I think that's the Jane Magnolia that I propagated. Butterfly bush, of course. Coneflower. Bee balms. I can't remember what this one is called, and I'm not sure if I like it. Looks like there's a flower over here. I can't remember what the flower looked like. It looks like it might just be a daisy. Some kind of daisy. If you know, let me know, please. Like, it looks really cool because look at how the leaf grow. It's like one plant that keeps sending out new shoots. It almost looks like a palm tree, or like one of those Asian fans that you fold out. You know how it goes in and out and you fold it? That's what it reminds me of. I can't remember what the flower looks like on it though. Here's a different variety called Xena. Xena, can you say hi? She lays on my plants all the time, and I always have to scoot her off. She breaks stems and leaves. Look, she's literally on a plant right now. Look at that. She's just all over my plant. Oh well. Over here, I can't remember the name of this plant as well, but it's really cool. Look, there's an insect on that flower. Can you see it? But they're like this prickly little thing, even though they don't really feel prickly at all. Like if you touch them, they don't, well, they do once they get to be a little bit more hardy. I can't remember what the name of that is. Raspberries, you guys. So I bought one raspberry, and as you know, you get a million little babies. So I'm just going to let this area be raspberry. Can you see the raspberry forming? Oh, I don't know if it's going to zoom in for you guys. Can you see it? See? Yummy raspberries. So I'm going to get some raspberry this springtime. So far we've done like almost half. Can you see that? So keep going back here. More areas that I can plant. I just got to fill up the flower bed. Hydrangeas. More hydrangea, which is going to create a hedge. Separate my neighbor and I. These are... oh gosh, I can't even remember now what the name of them are. I will tell you when I remember. More butterfly bush, more roses, daisies, more little buds that are coming out. Coneflower, just a different variety. See, this is the 2-story tall ones that I'm talking to you guys about. Right here. I am 5 feet tall. I'm going to swing it around. Look at how tall it is where I'm at. Versus where the flower is. Isn't that crazy? And it keeps getting taller. And I pruned it back really hard. And it's monstrous still. More roses. More daisies. A dahlia that's coming out. Hydrangea. Camellia. This one's really pretty. It looks almost like a kaleidoscope when it blooms. They only bloom once a year though, so that's kind of disappointing. Early spring, like even when there's still a little bit of frost. More roses. Butterfly bush, hydrangea. Limelight right here. Look at how big this one got. Hydrangea. Hydrangea. Pinky Winky. That's what it is. That's what those are. Pinky Winky hydrangeas, you guys. See? I know the name would come to me. So this is my backyard. It's massive. Mowing takes forever, but if you love gardening, it's amazing. I still have so much more. This is our woodpile area. We rented a bobcat and plowed all this back. all the kudzus, everything. We cleared up everything, like, I want to say 2 years ago. But because our neighbors aren't very nice to clean off all their kudzus, it's coming back over. So, yes, it's all coming back. I have elephant ears over there. I'm going to try to keep this under an hour, but I'm sorry, it's getting to be so long. More crepe myrtles. So over here I have a Granny Smith apple tree. I planted it last year, you guys, and it's starting to bear fruit for me. Look at it. You see it? There's my tiny little Granny Smith apple. Got a couple more here. A couple more over here. And here. Okay, so in the springtime it gets infected with aphids, like more aphids than you can count in the stars. I had to come out here, spray it, then squish it with my bare hands. That was kind of disgusting, but you know, you got to do what you got to do for your plants. I have some Verbena bee balm. This bee balm is crazy. It's like way taller than the other one. It's this one's almost 4 feet, as opposed to the other one in the front yard, which is only like 12 inches. More daisy. Daisies are here. Lilies are those. Salvia. Here's another Calla Lily. Coneflower. Hydrangeas. Roses. Daisies. I think these are daisies. They're looking a little sad. I think I need to water. It's supposed to get in the 90s all this week. We're going to try to my husband is going to try to help me put in a drip irrigation system this week. So I'm crossing my finger everything will go smoothly. One of my favorite Hearty Hibiscus, Midnight Marvel. You guys, when this flower, it is the reddest lipstick red flower. It's very showy. It's beautiful. It's actually the picture that I have on my YouTube right now. That's this plant. I transplanted it back here because it didn't really go with all the roses, and I felt like it was detracting from the rose. So I planted it back here because the flower is so showy. So see this whole area that I can actually flower, but I need to clear it out first. So that's another project I'll have to tackle. And then all along here, I planted hydrangeas. Here's a hydrangea. Here's a hydrangea. Another hydrangea. Another hydrangea. And this. Okay, if you guys saw any of my videos, I did a really sad obituary to my mare's lemon. The other day I came out to weed eat, and I was like, how did this weed get so close to my lemon tree? And lo and behold, it's not a weed. It's actually sending up new shoots. I was so excited, you guys. So excited. Can you see it? There's 2 new shoots right here from the mare's lemon. I thought it died. Look at it. I mean, it literally died, but somehow came back to life at the roots. The roots looks like I protected it well enough that it didn't die, so I sent up new shoots. I don't think you want to put your mare's lemons or any lemon tree into that kind of a stress where it has to send up new shoots and all the old shoots die, because you want it to stay mature and give you fruit every year without having to regrow from the base. So I wouldn't recommend it in zone 8A. Put it in a pot, take it inside, and then bring it outside. But worst case scenario, if you don't have room inside, plant it in the ground, cover it, make sure it's okay, and it will actually survive. To my utter surprise and amazement, it survived. So I'm just gonna leave that there, baby it, and hopefully it'll give me some fruit this summer. This is basically my garden bed. This is the other lavender I was talking to you guys about. See how the different flowering of this one versus the other one? This one's more upright. There are Veronica over here. I put lavender and Veronica and sage actually over here to attract pollinators so they can work with my garden to give me more fruits and vegetables. I have tomato plants in here. This, believe it or not, this is what your asparagus looks like when you don't harvest it and eat it. It looks like this. See how those little seeds? And then it transplants itself. I have garlic over there. This is my garlic that I planted. So funny thing, I had to watch a YouTube video on how to grow garlic. I thought you had to actually plant a whole garlic bulb in there, and I'm like, well, that's kind of a waste because you're buying a garlic, huge big bulb to plant it in the ground to get some more garlic. But in reality, you need to separate them and just use each section, plant that, and you get a whole new bulb. Ah, there goes the light. So when you are first time of gardening, you get to learn whole different aspect of gardening. Mammoth Jalapenos for stuffed jalapeno poppers. Yum yum. And then do you know what's really funny? I did not plant this, but see, oh, I don't know if you can see. Zena, stay. I have a self-seeded tomatoes right here. There's one right here. And there's one right here. I need to come and weed eat really bad. So, yeah, I'm going to get tomatoes everywhere. This is Zucchini Squash. I thought I had just gotten zucchini, but when I looked at the label, it says Zucchini Squash. I don't like squash, so I don't know if it's going to taste like it or not. But I'm hoping not. So, oh. And then this little area is just more hydrangea. I have another Japanese maple, Verbena, Chinese snowball viburnum, butterfly bush, and angel's trumpet. This is the area for Zena when we're away. She comes out of that little doggy door to do her business. This is my Mother's Day present from my husband. He made me a raised garden bed, which I love it. This is Rio Samba Rose. Look how pretty it is. I would recommend this rose if you guys want to buy a rose. Start with this one. It's really easy, low maintenance, and it performs and grows and flowers profusely. And actually, it's really easy to propagate as well. Verbena, Salvia, angel trumpet, Miranda Lambert, rose. See how I did some cuttings over here and I stuck them into the ground? This is an elephant's ear. See, look, that one that has shoots right there, this one, that's the Rio Samba one. Isn't that crazy how it just grows? So propagation is not always 100%. You have to do trial and error depending on your zone, your area, your soil. All that factor does help it. Basically, it needs to be in a place where it's well drained. You got to keep it moist but not too damp. And it'll do what it needs to do to grow. This is another one of my Butylon. This is the mother plant, I believe. And I actually had already chopped off a whole bunch to do some more propagation. So I came in and basically just gave it all a haircut. And then used the tip of it to propagate some more. But aren't the flowers so pretty? They do look like a little Chinese lantern if you think about it. Look at this one. It's like a perfect one. And this is my back deck. Oh, Navel Orange. Just bought it. It probably won't produce this year, but it will next year. You know, if you're gonna garden, why not add something that will give you some more benefit than just flowers? You get fruit. This is a pomegranate. Isn't that cool? Never had a pomegranate plant before, so hopefully it will bear fruit this year, but we will see. This is rosemary, Kufia. I put some in the pot because they attract hummingbirds, and I want hummingbirds when I sit in the back. Maple Japanese maple, Mayor's Lemon because I thought the other one that I planted in the ground died, so I gave it and bought another one. But I did not have the patience to wait because, as you can see, it's ended up some new shoots. But hey, I have 2 of them. Over here I have a blueberry bush. You can see it has some blueberries in it for me. So I'm hoping that they will ripen and give me some yummy stuff to eat. Isn't that cool? Onions, green onions, hydrangea, regular maple, tomato plant. This is my propagation area. It's messy. I'm sorry, I have to apologize, but it's super messy. But this is where I do all my propagation, playing around with all of that. So that's messy. Gardening is messy. Here is my actual propagation area where once I get them to root, I put them in here. This is all topsoil, so it actually is better for them to grow and get situated, and then I transplant them. Red Rose Salvia. I can't remember what this plant is, so you have to help me. Sedum, Verbena. I have a standard hydrangea. This is lupin, which I didn't think they were that tall. I made a little bit of a video of it, but this one is like 5 feet tall with the calyx combined, the flower all the way down. So super tall. I definitely didn't realize it would get that big, so that one will need to be transplanted. Hydrangea. This is where all my Japanese maples are that I'm growing from either seeds. I have not had very good luck with cuttings, so I haven't figured that out yet. But these are all from seeds. You see them? Aren't they beautiful? I can't wait until they're fully grown. I drive through the neighborhood of everybody's yard. I see them. They're so vibrant, so beautiful. I thought, here, I'm gonna get some of my own. Look at how different they look though. See how when they first come out, look at the leaf structure. It's so long and gangly, and then somehow they turn into this. I don't know how they do that. But these are 2 different varieties, as you can see. Veronicas, Coneflower, Salvia, Dianthus, I believe. Pretty. I mean, look at them. They bloom their head off, and it's just a little cutting, I think, that I took. But they're blooming their head off, so I'm gonna let them. Butterfly bush, propagated. A couple other things over here. Japanese magnolia here. This one is yellow bird. This one is saucer magnolia. This here looks like some bugs got into the leaves, but this is a Confederate Rose. I will show you what that looks like. It's not your typical rose, but they're really pretty. Phlox over here. More salvia. I got some sage, hydrangea, salvia. I'm trying to train a butterfly bush into a standard. I don't know if it's possible or not, but it looks like it's doing fine, so I'm just gonna keep on trying it and see. Looks like this hydrangea does not like this much sun. So definitely mophead, the big flowering ones, the round looking ones, big leaf, they need to have more shades than sunlight. I have a couple different ones over here. They look like they're doing fine, but that one looks like it's suffering from it. Another, I think this is a vanilla strawberry or strawberry sundae. I don't know. I get the 2 names mixed up. I don't know why they name it so similar, and they're basically similar in structure as well. But I trained this one into a standard. Gonna see what it looks like. And then over here is another pot by my garage. I have geranium. Isn't it pretty? And then a rose of Sharon. And then the other one over here, I have I put in a Japanese maple. And you guys, that concludes my garden. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get some good hints and tips. I hope you guys garden, grow, and flourish. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.